Kidding? Just one shot?
They're not all zombies, Doug. How do you fight this thing?
Maybe we could drown it in A1 sauce.
Well, sometimes that is better. The person you put up there ain't the person that comes back.
It's a dance song to get down with. About 6 feet under. Get there.
Ooh, I love this song.
And now we come to the thrilling final episode of our radio drama.
Hello and welcome everyone to episode 272 of the Rotten Reviews podcast. Thank you everyone for showing up to another new episode. If you're a returning listener, thank you for showing up each and every single week to listen to me talk about movies and pretend I know what I'm doing 200 plus episodes into this podcast. If you're a new listener, thank you for taking the time to check out this episode. Hopefully you'll stick around and check out the back catalog. We have a ton of great, enjoyable movies, good movies, bad movies, absolutely horrible movies. So definitely make sure to take the time, check some of them out. Let me know what you think about them down in the comments. Send me a personal message if you want to. Let me know your favorite episode, the episode that you think I probably did the worst on, whatever it might be. Just, want to communicate with me. I'm here. I'm willing to chat it up with like-minded people who enjoy the same things. If you want to tell me that I suck doing a podcast, well, that's not very nice. Don't do that. I might hurt my feelings. I'm kidding. It won't at all. But today's movie is from 1992. It's a sci-fi horror movie for an hour and 28 minutes. It's called Badge Channels. I found this one on Tubi. I was just scrolling through some movies and the cover image for it kind of caught my eye. And I'm like, I've never heard of this movie before. I know I've never seen it before. So why not just watch it then? Because that's the whole reason why we have this podcast, to watch movies that we enjoy and watch movies that we've never even heard of before or never even seen. But before we do get into the podcast episode at hand, I know it's early, but let's do some housekeeping like we like to do each and every single week.
Housekeeping?
I think you're sleeping.
Housekeeping?
Could you come back in an hour?
Housekeeping, you want towel?
More towels. Need sleepy.
Housekeeping, you want mint for pillow?
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God.
As always, if you're listening to this podcast on Spotify, make sure to leave a star review. Make sure to like the episodes, share the episodes, all that other fun stuff. But if you want to leave a star review, I appreciate it very much. If you want to leave a 5-star, I appreciate it. If you want to leave like a 1-star, that's okay too. It's very disappointing, but I got nothing this week. Actually, I have no funny quips or anything like that. I'll just be a little bit disappointed. Maybe Santa will give you coal. Maybe that's it. Yeah, Krampus is going to come steal you. I would say steal your kids, but some people might like that enjoyment because it might be a little bit peace and quiet. He's not going to steal your kids. He's going to drop off more kids. That's what he's going to do. He's going to torture you that way. A lot of bratty little kids running around screaming. That's never a fun time. But if you're listening on any of the other podcast platforms, if there's any rating forms or review forms, please feel free to do so. Leave whatever rating and review you feel is necessary. But the main thing that you guys can do that helps out the podcast oh so much is just hit that share button. Share it on your Facebook account. Share it with your friends, family, whoever you want to share it with. Leave it on when you're gone to work so the dog can listen to it. Whatever it might be. Maybe the dog will give you some reviews or some opinions on it. I don't know. Depends on how smart your dog is. If you want to keep in touch with me, make sure to check out the Rotten Views podcast page on Instagram, or you can also check out my personal pages at Typhonstein. All the links are down below for everything that you need to find in the description for this episode and every single episode. But you can also find me on all social media accounts at Typhonstein. We're on X, we're on TikTok, we're on Threads, we're on Facebook, Instagram, pretty much anything and everything. But the thing you might want to check out the most, make sure to check out the YouTube channel, because we have the weekly game video dropping every single Wednesday. Old episodes of the podcast drop every single Monday. I have daily shorts pretty much dropping every single day. That's why they're called daily shorts. I might sometimes miss Sunday, To be honest with you, I kind of get a little bit hectic. Kind of forget about where time goes. To be honest with you, and we also do some live streams over there as well, and the community post, which you can also find on the Rotten Views Instagram page. But on the community post or the community section on YouTube, that's where I'm posting my On This Day in Horror, where I discuss a different horror movie that released on, well, that day. That's why it's called On This Day in Horror. I'm being pretty blunt with this stuff today. I don't know why, but I am. And if you want to help support the channel a little bit more, there's a TeePublic link down below. We can buy some merch, podcast merch, some art merch, whatever it might be. Go buy some merch because Christmas is coming and you might want some merch to give as gifts or give a gift to yourself. And the last thing that I'm going to promote, if you're into wrestling, check out the CWC Canadian Wrestling Championship page on Instagram as well as Facebook. And we also have a YouTube channel in the works. I just got to figure out what we're going to do with it because I don't know yet. Because I'm still trying to get everything under control. But we will have a lot of fun content coming there as well. Just make sure to keep an eye out for it. I'll be posting more once we do. And yeah, I think that's about it for right now for the self-promoting. And just, you guys got tons of free content just waiting for you to check it out on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. YouTube probably being the best, amount for your money, even though it's free to look at anyways. But definitely go check out the YouTube channel. But with that being said, you're not here to listen to me talk about all the other various things I'm working on. You're here to listen to me talk about Bad Channels from 1992, the sci-fi horror movie for an hour and 28 minutes. You can watch it for free on Tubi. And if you're a new listener, I know all the returning listeners already know this. I'm going to be talking about this movie from start to finish and hitting all the points in between that interest me. So that means each and every single episode of the Rotten Views podcast is very spoiler heavy. So I don't want to hear any complaining, alright? Because, well, this is your warning. This is your first one. I'll give you one more before the podcast starts, before the episode starts. But this is your warning that I will be talking about this movie from start to finish and at all the points. So there's going to be a lot of spoilers. That's just how I do the episode. There's no way around it. It's just my format. So yeah, this movie has a 5.1 out of 10 on IMDb, 34% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 2.8 out of 5 on Letterboxd. You apparently can also watch it on Amazon Prime, but like I said, it's on Tubi. Tubi has a lot of great movies, so definitely go check it out. I'm a sucker for Tubi. The initial release date was June 25th, 1992. Distributed by Paramount Home Entertainment. The description, as read on IMDb, an alien determined to capture human females takes over a radio station to do it. The director for this one is Ted Nicola. I probably butchered that last name because I'm really good at doing that. He was also director for 1991's Subspecies, the director for 1986's Terrorvision, as well as the director for 1997's Vampire Journals. He was also the director for 2023's Carnage Collection Vampire Bloodlust, whatever that might be. As well in 2023, a new Subspecies 5 Blood Rise movie came out as well, where he was the director for that one. This movie has 2 writers credited to it, and of course the one we know pretty well. First one we're going to talk about is, of course, Charles Band. Obviously, the producer for 1989's Puppet Master, the producer for 1984's Trancers, the producer for 1990's Phantoms, as well as the producer for 1992's Dr. Morbid. As well, he's done the TV miniseries where he's producer for 2025's Dungeons of Ecstasy, producer for 2025's Puppet Master, Axes of Evil Noir, 2025 producer for The Ginger Dead Man, Murderthon, which I had no idea there was another Ginger Dead Man. Maybe we'll do that for the Christmas this year. Maybe. Who knows? It's kind of a newer movie. Usually don't do the newer movies. But maybe this year we'll make an exception. I know we've done a couple newer movies, so I guess why not? The second writer for this one is Jack Canson, who is the writer for 1993's Mandroid, the writer for 1989's Nowhere to Run, the writer for 1993's 800 Leagues Down the Amazon, as well as the writer for 1983's Robot Wars, which we did on the podcast not too long ago, as well as the screenplay writer for 1992's Seed People. Now that we're done talking about the director and the writer, we're going to talk about 2 of the top billed stars, according to IMDb. The first one we're going to talk about is Robert Factor, playing the character of Willis, who is also apparently in a bunch of shorts, because that's all it looks like on IMDb. He was in a short in 2013 where he played Benji Bobby in The Morning in China. In 2010 he was in a short where he played the character Man and Pleasures. 2007, I should say, not 2027. 2007, he was just labeled as an actor in a short called Stuck. As well, he played that Bobby character again in 2011. Lost in China this time, though. He doesn't look Chinese, though. I guess he's just a white boy that's stuck in China. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know anything about these movies. I don't watch a lot of shorts, so I don't know. Their top billed actress, I should say, is Martha Quinn, who's playing the character of Lisa Cummings. She was also bank teller in 1991's Motorama. She was also in 2 episodes in 1997 of the Weird Al TV show. She was in Dead Heat as the newscaster for 1988. That's a good movie. It's also in the intro for this podcast. And she's got a couple other, she's got like 23 acting credits. She's in a couple TV shows. She was in the episode Blossoms in 1991. She was in 3 episodes of Full House from 92 to 93, playing Allison and Martha Quinn. She was in Sci-Fi Slaughter in 2005, playing herself. That movie has a 2.1 out of 10 on IMDb. I have never even heard that one, but maybe we'll check it out for the podcast. But I think we touched base on the actors and writers, directors, and all that fun stuff. So I think it's at this point in time we're going to get Ray. I almost forgot to do something, okay? This movie has a tagline. I almost forgot to read it because I'm horrible like that. The tagline for this one: in space, no one is safe from rock and roll. Apparently there's a goof that we can keep an eye out for. Apparently at 1 hour and 12 minutes, when Lisa pops out of the glass shard to battle the aliens, her TV and hair clip vanish. I'm not sure if you guys really want to keep an eye out for it, but that's a goof that you can apparently pay attention for. And apparently there's a crazy credits section on IMDb. Apparently Dollman appears after the end credits of this movie. I guess you wouldn't have known that if you didn't stick around to the end credits, right? Well, that being said, let's get started on the podcast at hand. You're here to listen to me talk about this movie. And like I said earlier, I'm going to be talking about the movie from start to finish and hit all the points in between. So, like every episode, it's going to be spoiler heavy. So if you don't want to be spoiled, feel free to pause it now. Go watch it for free on Amazon or Tubi. I prefer Tubi, but that's just me. Amazon has commercials now anyway, so what's the difference? Definitely go check it out there if you want to before the podcast starts, and then come back and listen to me talk about it, or just sit back, relax, listen to me talk about the movie, and I'll either make you really want to see it, or you'll be okay with just skipping it. I leave that judgment call up to you at the end of this episode. So with that being said, if you're at home, hopefully you're comfy, got some snacks, whatever it might be. Hopefully you're ready to listen to this episode. If you're at work, hopefully this helps you get through the day. I know, as most of you fine folks do, you're listening in the car, going to work, going to get groceries, going out for a drive, whatever it might be. Just keep your eyes on the road where you're going to. Hopefully you make it there nice and safe. Hopefully nobody gets hurt. Nothing bad happens to you. No flat tires, no black ice, whatever it might be. Hopefully you just get to where you're going, and hopefully this helps you enjoy the ride there. And with that being said, let's get started on the episode at hand right now.
Presents Saturday Night at the Movies, the television series which each week brings you the finest in recent motion pictures. Tonight,
The entire town of Pahuta is tuned to Superstation 66.
Please, this stuff's killing me.
That was funny.
But while Dangerous Dan O'Dare is rocking the airwaves, a disc jockey from outer space is about to change the frequency to total terror.
Can you believe this guy? What a maniac.
He's offering a prize to any beautiful woman who's listening.
hey, whatever they're doing, it's intense.
A one-way trip to another galaxy.
It really sucks!
Aliens are using my voice to aim their machinery.
Oh my God.
Turn off your radios, people. They're doing it again.
Bad channels. In space, no one is safe from rock and roll.
We got the movie starting out. We see the old Full Moon Entertainment logo popping up. At least it looks like the older one. And then this semi-rock and roll style music starts playing. And it says starring Paul Hipp, which wasn't one of the top billed characters that we discussed. So that's awkward. But then the Bad Channel font just pops up. And it's just a basic lime green font. Kind of like cartoony font. Nothing special about it. Nothing rock and roll about it. Kind of lackluster. I gotta say, the intro music, nothing amazing by any means. It doesn't really set the mood for a rock and roll kind of movie. And the intro credits seem to take so long because it's just a black image with green font on it. Nothing else is happening at all. And then we just see this Pioha Power and Light Plant sign, apparently. And then we see Willis. He's just Robert Factor just showing up with a big truck being like, "Hey, this is Willis at the power plant. Just going to check it out because there's some sparks and stuff over here, eh?" Not sure why I gave him that accent. He doesn't really have that accent, but it seems fitting. Anyways, Willis pulls out his flashlight and starts looking at all the Transformers and stuff. And he starts walking closer and closer to one where we see this big giant green tentacle looking fuzzy thing coming out of it as sparks are coming off it. He's like, well, that's kind of weird looking. That's usually not hit there. I wonder where the whole tentacle goes. And he starts following it as it goes down on the ground. Anyways, it goes down the ground, then it goes up this building and goes up into the sky. And he points his flashlight up in the sky. He's like, holy shit. We see this red light, and then he just screams and he's gone. And then we cut to this radio station playing some polka-style music. Not rock and roll at all. And then we see this reporter lady who's talking to Vernon Locknut, who's the owner of this radio promotion or company. And he finds out that his radio company is able to play something other than polka music. And he's like, yeah, it's got 666 in it. We can actually play some of that heavy metal stuff there. And apparently the news reporter's like, this rock DJ... Dan O'Dare spent some time off the air because he was banned, but now he's coming back for the 66 All Marathon. And then the other guy on the other side of the news report is like, so we know it's supposed to be hard rock and roll music playing, but why is Dan still playing polka music? And the lady's like, that's just because, that's a stunt he's pulling. And then we cut to Dan, who's like, I'm not turning this record off until somebody guesses the number right. And then we see that he's got a padlock on him, and apparently he's trying to get people to guess the right combination. And if they guess the right combination on the lock, then he'll turn off the polka music, apparently. So we find out the main guy at the news station is named Flip Humble. He's like, so Dan, what happens if nobody guesses the right combination? He's like, well, you see, I'm never going to take these chains off, and I'm going to be chained to this wall forever, and I'll die here leaving the polka music on, and nobody will ever turn it off. Apparently Dan's also trying to give away a convertible car as well if people guess the number right. And then this random guy from a bar or a restaurant, his name is Peanut of all things, calls in to try and guess the combination on the lock because he's like, I'm going to win that damn car. And then Flip brings up about how Dan was taken off the air for a while because apparently Dan decided to broadcast a sexual experience that Dan had with another news reporter. And Dan's like, yeah, well, it was actually an accident. Didn't really mean to do it. And Flip's like, from what I remember, it was a rear ender. And then this lady calls from the Panthers school music room where all she had to do was hit the cymbals, and she's even off pattern on that. And she calls Dan. He's like, hi bunny, you sound like a real airhead. How can I help you? She guesses the number. Right, of course. Well, still wrong. So Dan gets tired of everyone calling in. Nobody's getting the right answer. So he's like, hey, Flip, how about you guess the number? Huh? He's like, oh, me? And he's like, yeah, you. That's why I'm talking to you. Yeah, you. So he's like, well, the number that comes to me is 1, 2, or 3. And of course, it's the right combination. So then Dan gets all excited and takes the polka music off of the radio station. So then Lisa, the station reporter that's in the radio station, it's like, wow, Flip, that's really amazing. Lucky night for you to win that car, huh? Knowing you'd probably want to donate that to charity so it doesn't look like anything was set up here, right? He's like, let's cut to the news now. The weather, actually. Let's get away from Lisa. So then we see Lisa and Vernon outside arguing because Lisa's like, this is a rigged contest. I'm tired of this. Everyone needs to know that this was set up. And then Dan comes up being like, hey, what's going on, guys? He's like, well, it's all rigged. I'm so tired of this crap. And he's like, hey, I didn't know anything about it. And Dan's like, hey, I could have did the Pocus shit for another 20 hours. I made a lot of bad choices in my life. I'm just trying to do better. I'm just trying to be a better person. I'm just trying to start fresh here. Just, trying to be a rock and roll, down-to-earth kind of guy. So then Dan's like, hey, let lightning strike me if I'm lying about it, okay? I'm not lying about it at all. And then we see this weird thing flying in the sky. And Lisa's like, oh, what the hell is that? That's incredible. He's like, well, at least it's not lightning. Then Lisa starts running over to the side because she saw the UFO flying behind. Danny's like, what are you talking about? What's gone? She's like, oh, we missed the UFO. It just flew over. He's like, UFO? Yeah, sure thing, Lisa. Whatever you say. Maybe it's just, Air Force or something going over. I highly doubt it was a UFO. Then randomly the sheriff shows up, and Lisa's like, hey, sheriff, just saw a UFO. Just kind of flew over there. He's like, yeah, sure. And then on the CB radio, another officer says that there was like a UFO seen over at the substation. Like, it seems like there's a lot of crazy people tonight calling in about this UFO. I don't know what's going on. And then the sheriff's like, as he's getting ready to leave, he's like, if I find out this is a publicity stunt, I am going to be really pissed off at you guys. Really pissed off, because I got nothing better to do with my life. So then Lisa gets ready to go follow the police officer, the sheriff, for the UFO story. And then Dan comes up being like, hey, so what about my 30-minute interview, that was supposed to happen on the station? She's like, you might be able to bribe Flip with her car, but you're not going to make me miss out on this UFO story. He's like, hey, I didn't, mean to bribe him with the car. I only wanted to do the interview because he said he was going to send you out, and I really like you. And she doesn't believe him at all. She just thinks he's talking out his ass. He's like, you know what? I'm going to make you believe me, and you're going to wish you had an interview with me because I'm going to be the next big thing, and you're going to miss out on it because once I hit big, I ain't talking to you at all. So then Dan's walking away back to the radio station all pissed off. Vernon's like, would you hurry up? We got a show to do. We got to make people like what we're doing. So then Dan goes into the station first and shuts the door on Vern. And apparently Vern can't open the door from the outside. I don't know why. But anyways, then we see off in the shadow an alien showing up. And then this Asian guy comes back on his moped with some burgers. And next thing you know, he just sees the alien. He's all shocked. And next thing you know, all there is a bag of burgers on the ground. And he's completely gone. He's like evaporated. And then the first thing Dan's doing while on there, a bunch of people are calling in, and they're all just, questioning him, being like, did Flip really win that car? Or was it all just set up? Was this all just a setup and you're just screwing with us the whole time? And he starts joking to a couple people, making fun of him, being like, yeah, it's kind of funny. On air, live on air, he won the car, huh? Crazy how that happened. And then we see the sheriff making it to the substation where Willis is there, and he's sitting on the ground freaking out, being like, please don't let them take me to the sky. They pump me with some rocks and stuff. Please don't let me take me on the lights again. Please don't. Flying saucer, come on, please don't do it. Don't do it, sir. So then the sheriff's like, Willis, you gotta tell me, did this thing or person or whatever, did they hit you on the head? He's like, no, sheriff, he didn't hit me in the head. He poked me with some goddamn thing of rod. And then he opens up his shirt, his plaid shirt. He's got like these green blobs all over his chest, and he just starts shaking and screaming. And then the other guy working in the radio station, I'm not sure what his name is. He might be Corky, I don't know. Anyways, he goes outside, he's like, hey, my bag of cheeseburgers. He looks inside of it. He's like, where's my Diet Coke, though? So then that maintenance guy, or whatever he might be for the radio station, he's like, hey, Dan, I got 3 burgers here. Lettuce and tomato on them. Do you want one? He's like, no, far too healthy for me. I got this beef jerky bar here. I'm definitely good to go. He's like, all right, good. I'm going to go destroy these outside then. Or in the back room, somewhere. So then as Dan's doing his little radio thing, being like, yeah, I knew UFOs were always out there, and I knew they would want to hit here because it's Super Station 66. And then all the dials on the whole computer system start freaking out, and then power boards start freaking out, and smoke starts going all over the place, sparks start going all over the place. And Corky's like, shit, I don't know what's going on here now, guys. And then Dan's like, so ladies and gentlemen, we got some technical difficulties. Please stand by while we try to figure out what the heck is going on. Then everything stops shaking, and Corky's been playing with some buttons. He's like, hey, don't worry, I got it. Everything's good. And then next thing you know, we hear this gurgling sound, this deep gurgle, and this alien breaks down the door, and Dan's like, what the hell? And I gotta say, the alien design in this movie, stupid, very stupid, but he's got a little robot with him, I guess. And then Corky's like, hey, guys, this is private property, and you're gonna have to pay for that door, okay? And then Dan and Corky start freaking out, and they're like, we gotta call the cops or do something. And the robot kind of looks like something off the like Mystery Science Theater 3000. So, that's kind of fun, I guess. Then we see the sheriff and Lisa dropping off Willis at the hospital. Well, Lisa's trying to fall behind. But anyways, Willis is screaming and yelling for help because he has cooties now from the aliens. So then we see Dan and Corky back in the radio station, and they're freaking out because the alien has this rod in their hand, and they think the alien's going to shoot them with it because it's some kind of weapon. And then, next thing you know, this weird sound comes through the radio, and then out of nowhere, Dan's like, so, people, just want to let you know that the radio station is now taken over by this weird alien, and I'm not really sure what's going to happen tonight, so let's just stick around to see what happens, I guess. He's got a big dopey head, looks like a big meteor with a glass window inside of it for some reason. I guess that's just so the actor can see. Then Dan and Corky start freaking out because the alien puts this big pod-looking thing on top of the radio equipment, and he like shoots at it, and these blue sparks start coming all over the place, and everyone's listening to the radio, and Lisa's one of them listening to the radio. Like, can you believe this guy just joking around this whole time because he thinks aliens aren't real, because I actually did see an alien UFO flying overhead and he didn't see it, so he just thinks it's all fake. So now he's trying to do this big radio stunt to make me look bad. We cut back to the radio station, and Dan's waking up Corky. They're both passed out because they got zapped by the little bomb thing. And now the whole radio station is covered in like a green fungus. Corky's starting to freak out because he's like, there's fungus on all of my equipment. And then he picks up the headset for the radio station. He's like, so the aliens zapped us. We're waking up now. There's green fungus over everything. And now the aliens are just avoiding us, ignoring us, and it makes no sense. So then he sees the phone is lit up, so he answers the calls. It's just people calling and being like, hey man, you're doing a great show, this is a great comedy act. He's like, no, you guys gotta believe us, the aliens are real in here. So then it's like, hey Corky, I can't get a line out, nobody's believe me, I can't call 911 at all. Here, you take the headset, maybe you talk to the people, maybe they'll believe you. And Corky's like, I'll never look at their snooty mag again, I'll never drink another beer again. This is real. The real aliens. Can someone please come get us some help, please? So then at one point, the big alien starts beating up the robot alien because apparently the robot alien is doing something bad. So then Dan's like, I'm going to get a closer look in. So he goes in and looks at this red screen, and we see I believe it's like a maid or a waitress or something. And then the alien notices that Dan's looking, so he gets pissed off and scares off Dan, but he doesn't actually leave the radio station at all, like the little desk. He just stays there the whole entire time. And the next thing you know, we cut to that diner where the truckers are all sitting, and there's a bunch of rockers playing inside the diner. The lead singer's on the counter singing, and all the ladies are like, oh wow, this is amazing, I love this. And it's just aliens, putting a spell on the women because they feel like the hard rock and roll singers and band members are what draws all the women in. So then we cut to what the actual bar or restaurant looks like, and the band members aren't there. The music's playing that the same band's singing, but we just see all the truckers looking up at the waitress as she's dancing on the table. And the next thing you know, she completely disappears. We cut back to the radio station where the tower lights up blue, and we see the waitress appearing in this like pod that's now inside the radio station where the aliens are now going to keep all the women. So then we cut back to Lisa, who's still in the hospital, and we see this nurse walking by, and we hear the radio playing, and it's Dan on the other side being like, well, the aliens, they caught this 12-inch lady, and she's in a jar now, and she's screaming my name for help, and I don't know what to do. And the nurse is like, wow, this radio station's doing a really good. I'm really glad they changed from this polka stuff. This is a lot more entertaining. And then the doctor that's working on Will is like, is that the radio host that was chained up there? He's like, the nurse is like, he already got the chains. Now he's being held hostage by aliens. It's a really cool gimmick. I like what they're doing. So then Corky looks over at the lady, the 12-inch lady, and apparently it's Cookie from the truck stop. Apparently, they just want easy names. Cookie, Corky. Corky's like, you know what, I'm getting out of here. So he goes to the front door of the radio station, or this back door, whatever one it is, and starts banging on it to try and get out. And the alien comes over to him and just zaps him in the head, and he drops down like he's tased. So then Dan runs over, and the alien's like, no, you go sit down over there. And he's like, yeah, I'll go do that, actually. So this whole time at the hospital, they have Willis sedated, and they're trying to pull off the fungus off his chest. And the nurse starts freaking out because she looks over at some of the fungus that's already already been pulled off. And now that the heavy metal rock music's playing, the fungus is starting to move and starting to dance. And Doctor's like, wow, that's weird. The fungus is reacting to the music. And then Peanut's talking to Sheriff, being like, hey, Sheriff, so Cookie was dancing on the counter like some crazy-ass go-go girl, and then poof, she was just gone like that, Sheriff. Just vanished, just disappeared, didn't walk away, just poof in front of us. And then the man on the radio said that she was in a 12-inch jar. And the Sheriff's like, Peanut, you can't be listening to this crazy DJ, all right? So we have Dan talking about Corky and how he died as a hero. He tried to go save Cookie, the girl from the bar, and he tried to get out to, try and get safety and help everyone. And, the aliens killed him by shock therapy, and then they fully covered him with a fungus. And that, Dan's now a little bit scared about what's going to happen because, Corky dies as a hero, and now he's in there with the aliens by himself, and he doesn't know what to do. And Dan's telling everyone, he's like, I think the best thing that we can do, because the aliens took over the station, is everyone stops listening to the station, turn off the station, and not listen. And of course, Vernon is listening in his car, and he's the owner of the radio station. They're like, what are you doing, you crazy son of a bitch? Don't tell him to turn off the radio. And then Bunny calls in to tell Dan how much she loves the radio show. And Dan's like, you gotta believe me, you gotta turn off the radio, stop listening to it. And then he starts looking at the red screen, and he's like, Bunny, what are you wearing? And are you in a gym by chance? And she describes everything that she's wearing, and he can see her through the screen. He's like, you need to stop, Bunny, you gotta stop listening. And then the aliens just turn on the music a little bit higher, and then next thing you know, we see a band in front of Bunny, and she's gonna be the next victim getting stuck in the jar. It's funny, he keeps cutting to like Bunny dancing in front of the band, being all cool and trying to be all seductive, and then it cuts back to her dancing in front of the real people, which is actually this old band leader and a bunch of students being like, oh wow, she's really dancing like a go-go girl. And then Sheriff shows up to the hospital, and the doctor's like, yeah, it's really crazy. The fungus is actually reacting to the radio station, this new radio station. And he just pulls out his gun, looks at the fungus as it's moving around, and just starts blasting it. So then we see Lisa talking to Flip as she's doing a radio broadcast, and she's like, yeah, it's kind of weird, maybe some stuff that Dan's talking about on the radio is actually real. And then the Sheriff comes over and be like, hey, Flip, this is Sheriff here. I think we actually have a hostage situation going on here, and I think Dan has maybe 2 or 3 hostages inside, and that's why we can't actually get into the radio station right now at this point in time. And then this welder guy's trying to cut the door off of the radio station. He's like, hey, no go, Sheriff, this green stuff fills up the holes just as fast as I'm cutting it. I don't know what to tell you. So then these two guys dressed all in black are using this battering ram to try and break down the door. And Dan's like, hey, who's ever trying to get in, thank you, but the aliens know what's going on, and they're going to kill you if you come through. And then Sheriff's like, oh, so now you're asking for death threats or saying death threats, huh? Well, now we're definitely going to have to break down the door. And they go to break down the door, and then this green goo starts spilling all over their face, and it's essentially burning them. So then the aliens start playing around some stuff, and some high-pitched squealing comes up, and Dan's like, alright, guys, they're getting ready to do it again. They're getting ready to steal somebody. I'm looking through the viewfinder right now. And he sees the nurse, and the viewfinder is right beside the main alien, and the main alien does not care that Dan is looking through the viewfinder. And maybe he doesn't understand that he's trying to warn the women at all, or he just doesn't care. He starts screaming, telling them to turn off the radio. But of course, it's too late. And so far now at the hospital, the nurse is listening to by far the weirdest band I've seen in the movie so far. And yeah, it's hard to explain. You just gotta look it up, to be honest with you. Like, the band members all have, like, fake plastic masks on, and to the point where I think it's the guitarist, or maybe it's the bass guitarist, I'm not really too sure, is dressed up as a nun with a fake plastic old person mask on. It's very unique, to say the least. Then everyone starts showing up at the radio station. The band members show up, be like, Bunny's in there. Then the doctor shows up, still in doctor gear, be like, my nurse is in there, Sheriff. He's definitely in there. And then the peanut guy shows up from the truck stop, being like, let's break down the door, let's get in there. And then the doctor's looking at the two guys that were trying to break down the door, and we find out the guy's arms are now covered in fungus. And the doctor's like, yeah, it's the same guy that was covering Willis. Same fungus. So then the sheriff starts wondering if Locknut has some chemicals hidden inside the radio station. And he's like, no, I don't have any chemicals stored in there at all. What are you talking about? Because the sheriff still doesn't believe that the aliens are real. So then the sheriff's is like, all right, Dan, I'm going to give you one last warning to come up with your hands out. He's like, well, I'm glad you're here, Sheriff. I hope you brought, like, the military and Navy and everything else with you. I'm going to suggest one thing. Blow the radio station up, please. It's the only way, maybe, to stop the aliens. And Dan starts breaking down and be like, I'm really sorry about the girls that are stuck in here. And, to let you guys know, it's too late for me too. And he lifts up his hand. And you find out he's now infected with the alien fungus somehow. Not sure how. I guess maybe just rubbed up against something. Who knows? But he's like, you know what? I'm going to grab this exact knife and maybe cut the fungus off. I don't know yet. So it just so happens to be where he has that fungus, or where he picks up the knife, he also sees a can disinfect it, and he starts spraying his hand, and we see the fungus starting to bubble. And Dan's like, hey, so I just sprayed the fungus with some germisol, and it's actually receding. It's going away. So let's just get some germicide and pretty much kill all the fungus. So then Dan takes the can over to Corky's body to try and free him from the cocoon. And then this laser or alarm system starts going off on the big alien. And he starts waving his hand around, being like, oh wow, this germicide stuff really stinks. It's really bad. So then once Dan realizes the germicide or whatever the crap is actually killing the cocoon around Corky, he starts spraying it right at the giant alien, being like, take this, you little germ head. And Dan starts getting excited because he's actually got something to go up against the alien with. And then the can actually runs out of spray. And he's like, oh, well, I guess I spoke too soon. So then Dan's looking at the projector screen again. And we see that Lisa's now on the screen. So she's going to be the next one to go inside the jar. And he tries to warn her. And the alien's like, nope, zap you. Get away from there. Zap, zap. But then the jar fills up and Dan's looking over and be like, they missed Lisa and got some goofy guy instead. And now the alien and the robot are fighting with each other, being like, why'd you hit him? Why'd you hit him? You had to hit the lady. Why'd you hit the weird goofy guy? And then the robot gets shocked by the giant alien to the point where he's pretty much fried because he blows up. So then the alien gets all pissed off and sends the creepy goofy guy back, and he gets shocked right back beside Lisa. And Lisa's like, so what is it like in there? He's like, I don't know, Bunny. Because the goofy guy is actually the guy that was in the band with Bunny, so that's the only reason why he was there, was to try and rescue Bunny. And then next thing you know, we see Lisa getting sucked into the jar. So then Dan and the alien start fighting over the control system, and then somehow the alien goes to hit Dan with the shaft or rod or whatever he has, the wand, and then Dan grabs it and just starts wailing him on the head with it. So then Flip shows up on the scene with his Russian girlfriend or whatever, and he starts broadcasting. And Lisa is now recording from inside the radio station, and she's like shrunken. She's like, I'm not sure this is going to pick up at all, but we see Dan fighting the alien, and we're not really sure what's going to happen. And then Flip's looking at the TV screen, and the recording's so small because she's so small, and Flip's like, what is this? I can't handle this crap. So as Dan is fighting the alien, he hits it or like penetrates its suit, and then all this smoke starts coming out of the suit, and then next thing we know, we see the suit blowing up on the alien, and this big giant snake 3-headed tentacle style creature thing pops out of the suit, and Dan's like, shoot, what am I going to do with this? And then Corky starts breaking out of the cocoon. He's like, Dan, can you help get me out of this? And what the heck is that thing? Then as Dan's trying to fight with the control panels, the girls all break out of their pods somehow. I'm not sure how that actually happens. But then next thing you know, we see a bunch of germicide all over the floor. So he starts handing it to everyone. Be like, all right, all of us, we have to just spray this stupid scumbag and it will kill it. Hopefully. So we see them all spraying the alien, and it finally drops to the ground. It's slowly moving a little bit, and then it like bites one of the fungus switches, and then next thing you know, it just disappears. And Dan takes over the airways, be like, alright guys, don't worry, we're going to be spraying the door now, we're going to be coming out. We actually destroyed the alien creature. And they're breaking out of the door, and for some reason they can't break down the whole door. It just breaks down the bottom half, and everyone has to crawl at the bottom of it. And then as soon as everyone gets out, the sheriff's like, alright Dan, you're under arrest. And Lisa's like, Sheriff, can you at least look inside there and see what happened? And Locknut looks inside with the sheriff. He's like, oh my god, what a mess. What are we going to do? So then Flip goes to question Lisa and Dan about what happened in there. She's like, well, you're in luck. I got it all on tape. You're just going to have to figure out how to blow it up. And she pulls out her hand, and there's a tiny recorder in her hand because it was still at the shrunken size. And then he goes to question Dan about it, and Dan pretty much tells him screw off. And then the aliens start flying by, and we hear like this weird, almost like dubstep style music. And then everyone's looking around, being like, "Where's Bunny?" And then Bunny's still stuck inside the jars, shrunken. And then the movie just ends, and the credits started to play. This movie was interesting. It was definitely an interesting concept. It wasn't bad. I will have to say though, the robot design was classic, simple, nothing too crazy. The alien design itself in the suit with the giant like meteor-looking fungus head with the glass window looked really weird. I wasn't a fan of that at all. And then the final form of it, which was like a kind of almost like Little Shop of Horrors kind of meets with a sandworm. It was alright. You don't see it a whole lot. It was. I like the premise of the movie at least. On the Rotten scale though, I think this is just an average movie. I'm going to give it a solid 5 out of 10. If you watch it, it's a Charles Band movie. What do you expect, really, to be honest with you? At the end of the day, it's Charles Band Full Moon related movie, and it is what it is. So I would watch it at least once. I thought the concept was fun, and it was alright. Nothing too crazy. The description sounds a lot better than the actual movie is itself, but nonetheless, it was alright. Which brings us to the point in time where we've got to pick what we're going to be watching next week. Alright, so we're going to stick with the Charles Band related movie. We're sticking with Tubi as well. This one's from 2004. It's got an hour and 12-minute runtime. I know the original Dr. Monroe movie, but I don't like the Dr. Monroe's Island. I don't know this one at all, though. Apparently Charles Band in 2004, the Dr. Monroe's House of Pain. I don't know this one at all, but I want to watch it. So we're going to be watching that one next week. Hopefully you guys will check it out. And as always, make sure to check out the outro
band, trial-based horror band, Blood Opera. If you're listening on Spotify, they're linked directly to the episode. If not, check all the links out down below. Find them on Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, wherever you pretty much listen to music, you'll be able to find them. And as always, check out all my links down below as well. At Typhon Sign, find us on anything and everything from Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, X, Threads, whatever it might be. Check out the YouTube channel as well for your weekly game videos, your old episodes of the podcast, your daily shorts, and all of their fun content. And make sure to check out the CWC Canadian Wrestling Championship page for all your wrestling related content on Instagram, as well as Facebook and a YouTube channel coming soon as well. There's hours upon hours of free content for you guys to check out. So hopefully you go subscribe to some of those pages and leave some comments, chat it up a little bit. I'd love to hear from you guys. Until next time, I'll talk to you guys all later. Peace!
Bunch of old men start fighting.